I'm going to add to the rest of the story from the video my wife did for the children on our reading day, half day reading day. It's interesting. I don't think there's many schools who use one day a month for 3 hours, 8:30 to 11:30. It probably ends up being more like 2 hours. It's dedicated to sustained silent reading, just reading. So the little children bring their stuffed animals, and some of them dress in their pajamas. Even the older students, you'll find them lying on the floor in their classrooms with a book in their hand, maybe another one at the side, so they keep reading. And someone may say, "No, wait a second. You're spending all that time just reading. That's all. There's no reading instruction." Yes, that's right. And we do it for a couple of reasons, more than one or two reasons, and I'll explain those right now. This is the rest of the story. Probably there's no other habit that is more valuable to your intellectual development lifelong and your moral development than the habit of reading. Helene explained in her BNN video that reading opens your mind. It helps you see other perspectives. It helps you envision different kinds of lives, different ways that people look at the world. It enriches you. It makes you a fuller human being. In most cases, in most schools nowadays especially, reading is relegated to passing a test. And once you pass that test, then you go on to the next level. Not at Birchwood. That's only part of it. That's the first half. You have to learn how to read. And we have great teachers with great lessons to do that. But much more important, or equally as important, is that reading is an integral part of the way you live your life. It enriches your life. And you may remember or not, but and I refer to this frequently, to what we call the early start, the habituation of behaviors at an early age. So we make a impression on the children. Yep, 2 hours to 3 hours of reading, just reading, is valuable. And they learn that from the time they're in kindergarten, how important it is. And it's a part of everything else that we do, that we hope that seeing this month after month and year after year, along with all the other reading instruction, it's something they treasure. It's something they want to do, they love to do. And will become an integral part of their life going forward. I wanted to read for you the current setting. It's so geared toward standardized tests and passing tests. If you pass a test, that means you learn something. If you took hard courses, that means you learn something. Well, I have a little quotation here from Howard Gardner. I think I can find it. And if not, I'll just have to recite it to you. He's a professor at Harvard, and he's also done some work at MIT. And he mentions that students who've gone through this process of taking standardized tests and you pass them, they come to school really not knowing much. And this is Harvard. So they come from the best schools. They've passed the most rigorous tests. They have AP scores they can be proud of. They have SAT scores they can be proud of. And his conclusion is they don't know very much. They learned it enough to pass a test, but they don't know much. And he also cites from his colleagues at MIT, the same thing. Students have passed the most rigorous high school tests in physics or other sciences and in writing, and they can't perform adequately to do well in the freshman year. So a lot of times the classes are dumbed down and made simpler. How could this happen? It's because the system is not set up to cultivate the richness of mind. It's to pass tests. And when you pass tests, you may just decide to forget it afterwards, which very, very often is the case. So you can see why building this habit, this coming in with your stuffed animal on a weekday of classes and then going home midday seems like nothing, but actually it's huge. It is inculcating this habit. I read. I'm a person growing up and I read. Now, we can't make them choose every book. That's a part of our curriculum. And I'm sure my wife has explained that in the past. So you have to read a variety of genre to be well read. Nevertheless, this 2 to 3 hours once a month for half a day is part of what shapes. This is what life is. It's a reading life in addition to everything else I do. There's a second reason, negative reason, a kind of Our young people are subjected to the sound bites of social media, little sound bites that affect the way they think, affect the way they feel, affect the way they act. And they're not substantial thought processes. They're usually just opinions and ideas with no foundations. And our young people are subjected to that. And so also are they subject to groupthink and to demagogues and to anyone who like to take ideas and market them to shape the way our young people are. What's the best antidote to that? Well, of course, limit social media if you can, or all the other kinds of things they do on the internet. But even more importantly, that is to cultivate the life of reading. In reading, you're exposed to, and you have a propensity to want to look at literature and thought on all kinds of topics and from multiple perspectives. So it not only enriches your life, but it protects you from all the nonsense that could lead someone astray on political ideas or social ideas, because you lack knowledge. And so you can see for multiple reasons. We can't say we're going to solve all the children's problems by our half-day reading day, but it can make an impact on how the behaviors that are rooted into their life, and reading being the central of that. Now, you may find it's also interesting, and this will go into another, the rest of the story video. At noon, the children are dismissed, and then the teachers do the very same thing. That is, we expose them to literature that stretches their mind. Even they are learning how to read and think at a different level, at a higher level, and to interpret and to discuss and eventually to write. To teach at Birchwood is an intellectual endeavor. It's not just taking care of little children. It's developing as a human being yourself. And what is the way? Reading with a thoughtful mind, a wide open mind, prepared to lift up how you look at the world, lift up the kind of human being that you are. So when half day comes, pack your children up with good books, encourage them to focus, value this time. It may look to the outsider like, my goodness, what is that school doing? Well, behind the scenes, we're cultivating a life of reading. And in a life of reading, we're protecting our children from outside sources, and we're also encouraging them to broaden their world, to lead a rich life based on expanding who they are as a human being. Thank you.